Welcome to the Landscape Photography Vlogcast, hosted by myself, Tom Peters, aka the Photo Ninja, all up north, Paul Thompson Photography, and Struth mate, it's Matt Bishop. We cover all things photography and chat to some of the best photography minds in the business. Put your feet up, your kettle on, and let's jump straight into this week's Vlogcast. Proudly sponsored by Case Filters. Capture with confidence. What's up, guys? Welcome to the podcast. How's everyone been?
Yeah, all good, thanks, mate. You?
Not too bad. Matt?
Yeah, okay,
Bishop?
mate.
I'm very well, thank you. There's
Matt,
two Matts, of course. Yeah.
Jesus, yeah, don't get
Oh,
confused
there you
with
go.
us today.
Yeah, this is going to confuse the issue straight away. Innit?
No, that's all right. So if we just both do a long pause in between them, we'll wait for them to ask which one they want to speak to. So let's just... So we've got
Good name.
Bishop, Matt Bishop. If people don't know who I am, that's me. And we've got...
We'll just call him Jabba. We'll just call him Jabba. That's all sort it right out.
Just call me
Jabba,
Jabba. And we got Matt Beach on today, everyone. Matt
Hi.
Beach, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Not too bad at all.
So people who aren't quite familiar with you, or they do know you but don't know much about you as a person, you're doing in photography. Go through a little brief introduction about who you are, mate.
Yeah, so my name is Matt Beach. I'm originally from the Black Country in the West Midlands, but now I live in Birmingham. Photography, well, I started in photography probably around 2015 when I got my first camera, which is a Nikon D610. But just prior to that, I mean, I've always been kind of a creative, arty kind of person, especially in my younger years. You know, I was always arty at school, and having left school and moved into the big wide world, I never really found an outlet for my kind of underlying creativity, shall we say? And of course, when you leave school, you get a little bit older and you go through the whole, your younger years drinking and all that stuff. But eventually, I just decided to buy a camera and see what I could do with it. But prior to that, I was shooting on an iPhone using kind of like Snapseed and things like that, and those apps, and with the crazy presets and the editing techniques and stuff. So I got myself a camera, and I wanted to get into landscape straight away, but I just couldn't. The images that I was taking, I was just not happy with it. I wasn't creating what I was viewing in my mind, what I wanted to produce. So I kind of gave up on landscape at the start, and I got into a little photography scene in Birmingham, where like street photography, just at the buildings, the light trails and things like that. And I got into that. Yeah. And I just learned how to take photos really and edit properly. And after a few years of doing that, I just thought, well, I want to try landscape again. And I was kind of dipping in and out of the two. And it wasn't actually until probably late 2018, 2019 that I felt confident enough to go back into landscape and start to create the images that I'm happy with, that I always pictured. So yeah, I mean, I do have a style of photography, I think. I do like darker images, as you've probably seen from my from some of my stuff. It's just what I'm drawn towards. I just like to create dark atmospheric shots. I'm not massively into the sunburst type images, and that kind of stuff. That's kind of me, to be honest. And I'm enjoying my journey. And every year that goes by, I feel as though I'm starting to move forward and creating those images that I'm truly happy with. But as all photographers, we're never happy, are we? We always we're always trying to find that next image. And that's something which I continue to pursue. So that's a brief kind of background.
Cool. So you're primarily drawn to woodlands by the look of it. That's your big thing by the look of it. Is woodland scenes.
Woodland is a big thing for me. I just find it easier to shoot woodland. I know a lot of people struggle to simplify the madness that a woodland brings. But no, for me, it's a preferred landscape for sure. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy shooting other stuff, like Snowdonia in the mountains and things like that. But predominantly, it is woodland at the moment, anyway. So
yeah, for sure. And it's not, to me, it's not really that hard. It's just a case of finding something that you're happy with in a woodland as well. It's when you try to declutter, I think you're trying to declutter too much sometimes. It's just focusing in on what you notice at the time, I think, isn't it?
It's hard to put it into words, kind of what I look for, but I suppose really I'm trying to find characters, like single trees as kind of like the main subject. And I do like to search for those, and get stuck in with the woodland and not go to the obvious places and try and, track through and find something which is original. I think that's key. I think that's another reason why I do lean towards woodland is that it's very hard to recreate the image, not that it's a big deal for me, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about,
Definitely.
If it's an epic scene which everybody knows about, then everyone's taking the same photo, and I don't know what it is about me, but I just don't want to take the same photo as everyone else. Is that bad? I don't know. I just want to create my own
it's
images.
The same thing.
And when people
say to me,
go on.
People say to me, "Why don't you shoot more in the Lake District?" Well, that's primarily why. Because everybody does. But, I mean, there is unique things to be found. It's just a case of finding them.
Yeah,
but that's part of it.
I'm not kind of knocking that in any way. I mean, if you want to go out and take a photograph of a well-known scene in great conditions, then brilliant. But for me personally, I'm always looking to create something original, as best as I can anyway. But yeah, it's that's another reason. Yeah, a good point.
Yeah, for sure. So you were inspired by anything? Because looking at your images and knowing Enrico Fossati has a lot of Lord of the Rings sort of inspiration, have you got similar sort of inspirations in your images? Because they look very ethereal looking and very fantasy-like.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to mention it, but yeah, I'm very much inspired by movies, certain movies. Just Lord of the Rings is obviously a big one, but that kind of color palette, like the dark blues and the dark greens and the mist, of course, and things like that. I try and, when I do my editing, I try and stick to 2 or 3 main kind of color groups. Just to simplify, I'm a big believer that color contrast is massively important to creating images, especially woodland images. I mean, a good example is everyone loves to shoot autumn, and don't get me wrong, I love to shoot autumn, but when everything's the same color, when everything's orange, it just looks terrible.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely.
Pull the other one, man. I just want some green back in my life, But
definitely.
No, so I do look for color contrast. That's a big one for me. Right at the end of autumn is probably the best time because you've got such a mixture of different colors as opposed to when it first kicks off and during the middle. I mean, in terms of seasons, I know everyone hates to shoot spring and summer. Well, not hates, but it's not a preferred season to most landscape photographers.
I was going to ask you about this, actually.
I actually really enjoy shooting in spring, especially. A lot of people don't like editing greens. They struggle to edit greens. I'm actually going to do a video on editing greens, I think, because there are ways to get around it to kind of create an atmospheric shot, even with vibrant greens. But yeah, I mean, this is all editing, of course, which is a big part of my photography, my art, I suppose. I do like to edit. But I mean, I have kind of slowed down on the editing recently since I got my new camera. I got a Fujifilm GFX 100S now.
Oh, you finally got that, mate.
Drool.
I'll tell you, I mean, I don't want to rub it in, but the images that are coming out,
awesome.
But you're going to. Yeah, I don't want to rub it in, but I'm going to.
Like,
It's bloody awesome. I know it is before you even tell me it's bloody awesome, but it's too expensive for me, so I'm going to cry into my glass now.
It's just crazy. Like the images that are coming off it, the raw files. I mean, I've posted a few images where I've done next to no edits at all.
Yeah.
With the Fuji cameras, I think. Well, I know that they've got an option where they put almost like a film grade on the image, and I've got one on there. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's been on there since the start. I haven't. I'm not the most technical of photographers, so I don't delve into the settings and stuff. I just point and shoot and work with the scene. But I haven't changed it, and the images just look great. I have to
probably
say.
Velvia. Don't they have a Velvia setting inside the Fuji cameras?
I'm not sure. I must have a look, but there's quite a few.
I think
options,
Velvia is one of them.
Yeah, because
Velvia and Provia, and
you go back in time. The most famous film that Fuji ever made was Fuji Velvia, and I used to shoot with Fuji Velvia, and God, I miss it. An incredible film. And I don't know much about Fuji camera, but I did hear that they actually had like a like that filter, the Velvia filter into it. So it'd be interesting to find out about it.
Pretty sure that's on there. Yeah. I'm still getting my head around using it. To be honest, it's a beast.
The files I've seen out of Adams, for example, you barely have to touch them. They come out looking so nice. It's just. It's quite sickening.
That's what good cameras are, mate. That's what good cameras are.
Yeah, exactly. None of this Sony rubbish where we have to edit for 3 hours.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. God.
And even when you do touch them, they've got so much information that you can do a lot. It's prior to the Fuji, I had a Nikon D850, which is a pretty good camera as well. And I did plenty of editing with those, but with the Fuji, I haven't done so much, to be honest. It's interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just getting used to their raw files too, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, the files are huge. They're like 150 megabytes per shot.
Jeez. Hope you got a good computer, mate. Yeah. Oh God.
I do. In fact. I know this is probably not the right way to do it, but I do panos for most of my shots. I've got 2 lenses for the camera. I've got what is it? It's something weird like a 32 to 64 or something like that. And then I've got the 100 to 200, but the equivalent to full frame. It's not quite 200 mil. It's so I don't have that in between lens at the moment, which I'm going to look towards getting, but I do a lot of panos, so I'll take 2 or 3 shots and just merge them together and create an even bigger file for my computer to deal with.
Well, that's the thing with the Fuji, that Fuji camera as well, is that it's got all the different aspect ratios built into it, so you can actually visualize your scene a lot better, I think.
Makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I know Adam does that, doesn't he? Yeah, I haven't worked out how to do that yet, but I will.
Oh, it's awesome, mate. Honestly, it's absolutely awesome because you can see everything straight in front of you.
Do you not have that on the Sony then? Because I can. I've got like 6 on mine, 5 on mine.
Well, you see, you've got the newer. I think the
surely that's available.
No, not mine.
You're right. 1x9, 3.245, 1x1.
Yeah, I haven't got all that.
They're all on YouTube channels.
Who?
Thomas Heaton.
No, I'm sorry, I don't know him. Who is he?
Don't start, Jabba.
No, I love Tom. I absolutely love Tom Heaton. I really do. He's the first guy that I kind of subscribed to on YouTube, and he did kind of inspire me, to be honest, to get out more and
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
I think he inspired everyone to get out, mate.
Yeah,
he was the first one to do it.
He was doing it on GoPros originally, I think. Yeah. He's a legend.
Him and what's his name? God, I keep forgetting that bloke's name. Satori, what's his name? Come on, guys, help me. Yeah, Sartori photo. Oh,
Well, that's Paul Johnson.
Paul Johnson.
Paul
Yeah.
Johnson.
Paul G.
Yeah.
Johnson.
Because
yeah,
Paul
yeah.
Johnson got onto it early too, didn't he?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
just
yeah.
stopped doing videos after a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know him?
It's hard work. I don't think I do know him.
Oh, go and check him out. You'll be pissing yourself laughing. Funny bugger. Yeah.
It's very dry.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
he's
is.
very dry.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is your typical sort of shoot then? How does it, like, from the idea in your head to getting it back on the computer? How do you normally? How's that process normally go about? Without giving away too many secrets.
No, it's all good. I mean, in terms of times of the day, it's typically always morning. I hardly ever shoot on the evening at sunset, which I do plan on trying to do more this year. But no, predominantly morning. I don't tend to have any kind of plan really. I just go for a walk and see what I can find. More often than not, I'll take some photographs, and the image that I don't think is that good always turns out to be the one that I prefer when I get back. Which is difficult when I'm doing the YouTube videos, because obviously when you're doing the videos, you're trying to describe what you've spotted, how you framed it up, and everything else. But sometimes I just choose the wrong images because I get back and I'm like, why didn't I film that one? You know. So. Yeah, I don't really have a plan as such. I kind of work with what I see, no real plan, to be quite honest. No, but I always like to try and create dark images. I mean, there have been times when I've taken an image where it isn't dark, and I've just made it dark, you know. But that's artistic license at the end of the day. So
Well, yeah, it is.
But yeah, go on.
I'm bringing up an image here now of yours by the name. I'm going to test you here.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. This is called Underwater Love. So if you get onto Matt Beach's Instagram page. Yeah. Okay, so I'm looking here at the atmosphere in this image, and you've got, obviously it's quite a foggy scene, okay?
Yeah.
And you've got this background fog that has a very, very cold white balance to it, so it's got a lot of blue to it. So how heavily edited was this image, or was this the scene the way it was that day?
The fog was thick that day. I'm looking at the photo here. Obviously, it's quite. It's called Underwater Love. It's quite far down. It's
It's an autumn scene.
Yeah, this was when I was shooting on the D850, and I was doing a lot more editing back then. But in terms of the blue, which is the main kind of contrast, the main color contrast in this image, obviously it's enhanced slightly. But yeah, I mean there was a lot of fog that day. I think I used luminosity masks. No, what did I use on this one? There's an edit on Photoshop that you can do where you can edit the mid-tone kind of white balance almost, and I think I've edited that on here. But in terms of the autumn color, I mean, obviously it's been edited, but it was a great morning for sure. I wish I had the raw file to show you, to be honest, but I don't. Yeah. Maybe I'll send that to you privately, just so you can.
No, I just brought it up as an example, just because you said you're attracted to the darker sort of the darker side of photography. People like we said before, someone like Enrico Fossati, for example, who's very much attracted to that type of photography.
Dark,
and to
I will
understand,
always make them darker. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, to understand. I mean, when you're taking this type of, for people that don't know you, or for people who are interested in how these scenes are captured, is to understand that sometimes this darker type of photography isn't so much this isn't the 100% the light that you saw when you were there. To achieve these dark results, you have to play a lot with contrasts.
Yeah. I mean, it
use a lot of
depends on the
vignetting.
image.
For sure.
It does depend on the image. I mean, if you're on my Instagram now, if you get to the third image across, which is titled "Before the Light," now this is dark. This is a dark image, you know, but that's pretty much how it was. This is with the Fuji. This is, and
you can tell.
About 10 minutes later, the light came in, and I'll tell you what, the whole scene dramatically changed. If you watch my recent YouTube video, you'll see that.
Yeah, which I did.
Yeah. I mean,
I've seen it.
and if you've seen that image, you've seen how dramatic the scene changed. And if you look at when I was talking through the shot, the light hadn't arrived at that stage, and you know it was a dark scene for sure. So sometimes scenes will be dark automatically, and sometimes I'll use artistic license and make them darker. It all depends on what I'm shooting, but most of the time, if they are dark, really dark images, you know, there already is an element of darkness there for sure. It's not full daylight, and I've made it nighttime. You know, it's not. Not to that extent,
of course. No, it's just for people to understand it. They're, you know, people who are, you know, beginner photographers, or they would like to experiment in this style of photography. It's to understand more whether it's a captured scene and it's captured that way as a dark image, or it's something that you apply in post-processing. Because dark images, a lot of the time, it's, as you said before, it's playing also with, you know, these very dark blues and very dark greens in your white balance to achieve that type of ethereal mood, isn't it?
Yeah. So I tend to underexpose my images as well, a little bit too further than I should, if I'm honest. I do underexposed, and I edit from an underexposed file. I mean, I don't want to keep going back to this camera, but the images, it doesn't really matter if it's massively underexposed. When I bring out the information, it's still there. But even with the DA50, it was fine. But yeah, I will typically massively underexpose my images. It's always to the left, the histogram, as far as I can take it. I think the correct way is to expose to the right to get the most information in the highlights, I believe. But yeah, I don't do that at all.
No, I don't know.
Me neither. Me neither. I'm always a stop under every time.
Yeah, especially with the Sony. But
yeah, definitely with the Sony every time, because I find it blows the highlights too eeasily.
Yeah,
so I'm always a stop under.
As a general rule, I mean, sort of the golden rule is, you should expose to the right, but look, everything's changing now with cameras, isn't it? And especially in the last 3 or 4 years, you know, the dynamic range on cameras these days are so powerful. It's just easy, especially if you've got an LCD screen and you're exposing through your LCD screen. Just expose for your highlights. Make sure you don't burn your highlights, and you're fine. You know, that's all you have to do, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
That's it.
But like I totally understand what Matt's saying is like
which Matt?
Matt Beach.
Jabba or Beach? Yeah.
Not Jabba. We'll just refer you to as Jabba. So
just call me
Matt
Beachy if you want.
Beachy, yeah.
Beachy,
It's all about emotion, isn't it? And the emotion you're feeling at the time.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, for sure.
And that is your thing, isn't it? You know, that you'll go into the woods at that time of day because you find that you can express yourself in the best possible way.
And that is definitely outcome. The emotion goes into it as well. I mean, if you go into some of these woodlands before the sun comes up, a few of the ones near me, especially Cannock Chase, for example, which apparently is haunted by a group of children who were anyway, we won't go into that. But
Tell me. I want to know about it.
I don't actually know the story, but I've had a lot of messages over the past few months, actually, asking me if I've seen anything in the woods. And I don't know why they keep asking me this, but someone messaged me the other day and said there was some catastrophe that happened there back in the 70s. I think there was some murders. that happened, and apparently the whole place is haunted.
Where is this place?
Yeah, it's in Staffordshire in the West Midlands. It's a place called Cannock Chase. It's a pretty huge area.
And you go there on your own, don't you?
Yeah. Like before the sun comes up, it's pitch black, head torch, the lot, you know.
So you're not going back anymore.
Sorry?
No,
So you're not going back anymore.
That's why he goes live on Instagram when he's doing it, though, so he's not so shit scared. That's what
It's got the three words out.
On. People here.
It's very true. Yeah, just to
document it.
On my own. Yeah. No, but honestly, it doesn't trouble me. I don't know why. It doesn't bother me at all. But I do get into the zone, and you know that kind of darkness and the cold. I suppose it kind of rubs off on my images at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely.
It does.
And sometimes when a scene looks a certain way, perhaps that kind of emotion is portrayed into the final image. Yeah, that does happen.
Yeah. Do you find? I know I predominantly shoot woodens now, and I'm next to some big ancient oaks that happen to be right next to like a really busy main road.
Yeah,
the woods is huge, but you know because it's accessible. There's some horror. You do hear some horror stories, go-ons, and stuff. And I get asked questions like, "Have I ever seen anything?" But I always get startled by the wildlife. Normally, it's because, like you said, I'm in the zone. I generally stand behind the camera for half an hour sometimes. And I'll get startled by a pheasant or a deer will come up behind me, not knowing I'm there.
Yeah, I don't like deer. I'm not a big fan of deer. Especially in rutting season in Cannock Chase, because there are literally hundreds of the buggers in there. And you got all these horny males running around chasing the females with these big antlers. I'm just like, one of these days, I want to be charged.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I hope you got a good tripod like Matt Hanley does, mate.
Well, me and Paul have been speaking about tripods. I've only got a small one. That's a tripod, by the way. But but yeah, I mean, I don't really get scared so much. I'm 6'3" anyway, so I'll take on any ghost or crazy deer that comes my way. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you'll be fine with your three-legged thing tripod.
That's it. Three-legged thing.
I'll just talk to ghosts. They get scared and run away after a while. So, yeah, how you going? Fuck, this guy can talk. So, Matt, and I'm not talking to myself, and I'm actually talking to you, Beachy. Your YouTube channel. Tell us about it. Why are you on YouTube?
Hard work.
Why are you on there?
YouTube? It's a good question. I suppose I would just want to be like Tom Heaton, to be honest. Just
okay, all right, fair enough.
Documenting. But one good reason, to be honest, is I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I feel as though all my images are portrait for Instagram or square crop. I don't shoot as much landscape as I should. And I've over the years, especially 2 or 3 years ago, I was only shooting portrait so I was only posting my photographs on Instagram, and because of the way the screens are. And with YouTube, I'm able to shoot the other formats, shoot landscape and do panoramas and showcase some of my images that I wouldn't usually share on Instagram, I suppose. So it's a good way to do that. It's good for self-confidence as well. When you start to get into it and start to talk to the camera, I know this sounds a little bit deep, but you start to know who you are to a degree. It's weird, but it's
about the package, isn't it?
It's good like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good for like anyone looks for your Instagram can obviously see that you're a talented photographer, and they want to know more. And YouTube's definitely the best way to get to add another string to that sort of story.
Definitely. Well, when I started the YouTube channel, one of the reasons why I did it is because I wanted to get into the YouTube the video as well. So I'd seen, I'm not sure what what I'd been inspired by, but I wanted to create some kind of dark kind of B-roll and some nice music on it and stuff. And I wanted to get into the video as well. And if you look at some of my videos, some of the first ones, I did try my best to do all the fancy B-roll with the drone footage and things like that. I did try and do that, and that's one of the reasons why I slowed down with it, because it was just so much work to do that, and I kind of stopped doing it for a while, and I've been dipping in and out ever since. But recently, I've kind of thought that I'm just going to document what I do, really, and if people choose to follow and watch, then great. A little bit of B-roll in there, but so yeah, I was interested in the video aspect as well.
Because your videos have the same. I know, obviously, like we talked about the images, but the atmosphere and the time of day you're shooting, your videos does back that up as well. You know what I mean? It's got that sort of dark grain.
Yeah, well,
film look to it.
I edit the videos as well.
Yeah.
So I've been following you for a while, Matt. Now, and we've chatted a few times over in the past, and I came probably across your YouTube channel actually before I came across your photography on social media. And one thing I noticed from the beginning, you're a very don't let your head get big or anything, mate. Just calm down. Have another sip of your drink before I tell you this.
I finished the bugger. It's all gone.
Oh, go and get we'll pause. Go and get another one, mate.
It's all right. I've got a bottle here. Just fill it up.
What are we drinking tonight, guys? Okay. I'm on the red, the Italian red as always. I'm boring.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm on the single malt.
Yeah.
What single malt are you on?
It's Darwinny.
Darwinny. Okay.
Nice. It's not the 15. It's the winter's gold.
You guys have all got man drinks. I've got a little fancy gin and tonic.
Nothing wrong with gin, mate.
That's all right, mate. You just got to
I've gone for the Morgan Spice and Coke.
You can't see my glass.
Okay. So what I was going to say, when I noticed your YouTube channel for the first time, I thought, this guy's got a very cool presence. Like you're very laid back, but at the same time, you've got the walk, you've got the talk, you feel very, very confident about what you're doing, and it does come across and it does resonate with your images instantly. It's very, very consistent who you are. You said you're a 6'3" tall. You can see when you're on camera, you're a big bloke, but you're just very, very. It's not laid back. You're just very, very cool in front of the camera. You're very confident
I need
about
to
what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like I said, don't get a big head, mate. All right. Normally it's not me, but I do search through YouTube and try and get a bit of inspiration sometimes, because sometimes it's a great place to find inspiration, isn't it? And definitely come across your channel and was inspired by the work you do. And then I remember when I jumped across onto your YouTube channel, onto your your images on Instagram, and just thought, wow, yeah, that does suit you. You're like the English version of Enrico Fossati.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, there you go. There's a compliment. He's finished now. Look at
Open up a Word document and write on that CV.
No, but you do have differences. There is differences, and I mean, obviously, you're shooting in different parts of the world, and you do have different style. And as you said, you started in 2015. Your photography. Like everyone's photography, obviously, but you started in 2015. There's still so much more for you to grow, and I think
I do feel
there's so much more potential, and how far you can take photography. I think.
I appreciate everything that you just said. I'm a little bit taken aback by it, to be honest. I've never really had such a compliment, but yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's nice to hear.
I saw it when I pointed it out to you, actually, because that's why I was asking you about Enrico Fossati, because it's got that look about it. It's it's very that way out.
Like I said, it's not the same, you have your own version of that style, but more Enrico's more in touch with the how would I say medieval? You know, the Italian roots in
You
his
don't
style.
edit to metal, do you?
I don't edit to metal. No, I don't. I think it's good to be individual and have your own path. I mean, plenty of people have inspired me to, or given me ideas. You know, it's not copying; it's inspiration. It's color inspiration. It's light inspiration. It's the way the frame is set up. A good inspiration for me has always been Neil Burnell.
Today's episode of the Landscape Photography Vlogcast is proudly sponsored by Case Filters Global, bringing a high-quality filter shooting experience to many global landscape photographers and enthusiasts. Paul, Tom and Matt all use these filters on field and highly endorse the product. So if you're looking for a filter system to add to your camera bag that is durable, easy to use and highly functional and most importantly optically neutral, then look no further than Case Filters. Case. Capture with confidence.
I'm sure you guys all know Neil.
Yeah.
I mean, we speak often, and his images are just absolutely superb. I love every piece of his work, but at the same time, I don't. You know, my images are different to his. You know, we're different photographers,
definitely.
But you know, you can still take inspiration from another photographer, and not replicate what they've done. I think it is possible. You know, it certainly is possible.
Well, I think that's how everybody finds their style. At the end of the day, everybody takes pieces of everybody's style and makes their own out of it.
You do.
It's the way that it's the way you grow.
Well,
It takes a while.
Everything,
It does take a while, and it does continue to change. You know, over time. But certainly to get that first kind of foot in the door to say, this is me, this is the way I'm going to do it. It does take a while to do that. And
well, I think
go on.
Sorry, Matt. Sorry. Yeah.
I was going to say a lot of young photographers, they want it instantly. They want to know how to edit in a certain way and everything else. And it does take time. You have to take time. It has to be yours. If it's not yours, what's the point? There's just no point. So you've got to work with it and just wait and be patient. So yeah.
I like how. Sorry, Matt.
No, Tom, go, mate.
I was just going to say, with my wooden photography, I'm sort of experimenting at the moment with, like we talked about earlier, about the warm and cooler tones and how to use that in a creative way. And some of your images are just, it's hard. Obviously, people listening can't tell, but you can if you go on Matt's Instagram page. It's the third row down on the right.
Yeah,
there's an image of 4 trees.
Oh, you see, that one is identical to the scene. There's no editing done to this image at all. If you watch the YouTube video on this, I did a video clip of this scene, and it looks like a photo. Honestly, perfect conditions.
But it's just like the way you framed it. You know, it's very. You've captured it absolutely perfect. That the way the warmer light's coming from the right and sort of bleeding across the image.
It was a nice moment. I do like the dark into light. I find that a good way to take the viewer through the image.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it's a good direction. And even when the image that I'm looking at isn't from dark to light, I will sometimes edit it in such a way that the light is in one spot, and you know, it kind of gradually moves into the light. You know, with the kind of like an advanced. What do you call it? When you put the what do you call it? How about Timmy's chin? I just darken down the images and the vignettes.
Vignette.
Sorry.
There you go.
A manual vignette. Always manual with the vignettes.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, it's clever. It's
clever. Lovely image.
It's a lovely image. Yeah, that is for me. That is a very. If you was trying to get into wooden photography or wanted to look at an image that would inspire you next time you went into woods, for me anyway, that would be you stuck it up on someone's Facebook feed and they looked at that would inspire me to get the camera out in the morning for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It certainly is a good scene. I was very lucky that day. But
So do you?
go on.
I was just going to say, do you, in terms as we're on the subject of light, do you? Obviously, light's a big part of photography, but I believe light is plays an even bigger part when you're in the woods. Is that a thought process? Do you tend to see atmosphere and light away in the distance and chase it, or do you have some main subjects that you tend to go back to in the woods that you think might work?
Well, typically in the morning, you kind of get a different type of light. You get a lot of side light. The sun's not high enough in the sky for it to be too much of a problem. So you do get that automatic atmosphere, which is why I always shoot mornings. It's just the best light. But in the wintertime, it does get increasingly difficult because the sky causes such a distraction in photographs. And I do tend to try and avoid the sky as best I can. That's why woodland photographers love the mist and fog so much, because we can just blend it in. But without that, it can be challenging for sure.
Yeah, it messes everything up, doesn't it? I mean, you look at the majority of your images. I mean, 75-80% of them at least have a foggy scene, don't they?
Yeah,
and the fog simplifies everything in such a way that it makes your composition easier, because you're looking at a particular branch on a tree that bends from the left to the right and has got a curve in a certain way, and you're looking at that branch, and by having that atmosphere, that actual symmetry and the composition of that branch that curves in a certain way really, really stands out in the frame, in the final result of the image. If you don't have that foggy scene, that branch is just blended into the mess that's in the background, isn't it? So
massively. But I think also at the same time, we can't just shoot in fog and mist. We can't do that. I mean, granted, a lot of my images are in those conditions. Not all of them, but certainly a lot of them, because it's just the best condition, But I think that there are ways to create atmospheric images without that mist. I mean, let me see if I can direct you to this image. I probably can't, because it's quite far down on my feed. But if you can try and frame up a shot and avoid the sky entirely, if you can frame the image with a canopy, for example, which is blocking out the bright sky, you can create some really atmospheric images without the fog and the mist. It certainly is possible. But I mean, when I do shoot in those conditions, when I look at the editing process, I think contrast is a massive thing when it comes to editing, and there are kind of techniques in which to highlight the contrast in certain areas on certain trees, for example, and then reducing the contrast in areas where you don't want the viewer to be directed as much. And I think that's another way in which I create more atmosphere in the image, because you choose a composition, you choose the main kind of image, the main tree, for example, and you work on that image in the editing process to bring that out as much as possible, whilst everything else you dull down, and that brings it out into almost like a 3D kind of effect. And I think if you know what you're doing with the editing process, you can really create some great stuff.
Definitely, it's not discussed enough in editing these days. I mean, Paul and Tom know that I advocate highly a process that I use, and I refer to it as contrast depth. So it's basically, the way I see it is our eye, actually, the closer something is to us, the more luminosity and the more detail, and therefore the more contrast that actually has, because it's closer to us. And the further something is away from us, we have less contrast, don't we? A sensor doesn't pick that up unless we have a lot of atmospheric condition that gives us that sense of distance and something close. And I don't think people emphasize enough how important it is in post-production. We actually have to emphasize that contrast depth into our image. You know, the further things are away, the less contrast they should be because of those atmospheric conditions, because of their distance. And it's such an important part of post-production that has to be done because a camera simply cannot pick up this information to a certain extent.
No, it's an art form at the end of the day. I mean, the final image should be a representation of what you felt, what you experienced, the way you pictured the scene and the way you framed it up and everything else. A camera will just capture the information. The information is there to be, moved around, manipulated in some aspects and has moved into the correct kind of direction to make that image and the subject come alive to a degree. And I think where a lot of people struggle with woodland photography is I feel as though to really improve your images, you need to work with luminosity masks is a big one. It just makes such a difference.
Yeah.
If you're just using sliders on Lightroom, which is a global kind of, edit
Adjustment, yeah.
It's just going to make everything a distraction, whereas you need to be taken through a photograph. The best images that you see on Instagram and everywhere else, the best images are where you're taken through the image, you're directed in a certain way to look at the subject and be taken through up and into the image. If everything's sharp and contrasty and bright and saturated, the viewer simply doesn't know where to look. And
No.
It's very important to create that separation, both with color contrast and luminosity masks. It's a really helpful tool.
So using Tony Kuiper, do you use which?
I use Jimmy McIntyre, Raya Pro.
Raya? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just what I know. I've always used that. I don't really use everything that the program offers. I just use just certain aspects of it, but it just allows me to work in certain areas,
Yeah,
they're
it's
absolute
a
godsend,
must.
aren't
They are definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
But like you're definitely right. And at the end of the day, our eye sees a 3D world. The camera takes a flat 2D image, and them global adjustments just apply a 2D adjustment, don't they?
Oh yeah.
To create that depth, and that's what that's all about, is turning the flat image back into 3D.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I enjoy the most about it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So would you say that was the most enjoyable part of taking an image? Is the
I like to process and create the final image. I mean, of course, I like to be out with my camera, but it's just kind of like the first stage of creating the final image for me. I do like to edit, and it goes back to what I mentioned at the start, where I've always been into art and everything else, and I've always had that kind of creativity, but I just didn't have an outlet originally. And then when photography came along, and I started to work out what I could do, with Photoshop and Lightroom, it really took off from there. I mean, of course, the editing process, I mean, you can take it too far very easily and very quickly. And a lot of people, some people are they don't really approve of too much editing, do they? Some people. But I mean, there's different ways to look at it, I suppose. I mean, I've got rules of my own. I don't add things to my images that aren't already there. I mean, obviously, I manipulate color and add shadow and light in certain areas, but that's as far as it goes. I don't do any sky replacements or things like that, which is fine if you do, by the way, but it's not for me. But yeah, I just work with the file, with what the information which is captured. But some people certainly frown upon the the over-edited shots, don't they?
Well, I mean, mate, art is art, isn't it? And we can, photography is an art form, and everyone's free to do exactly what they want. And this subject has come up a million times, especially on podcasts. I think every Joe Blow under the sun has talked about, how far you can take an image. But I mean, at the end of the day, okay, if you've taken an image of a forest scene and you've got Joe Blow up the road who wants to buy it because he saw your YouTube video and he said, I want to buy that image because you captured it with that light that morning, and I really, really, really liked the way that you did it that morning. And then if you went ahead and edited it and went berserk on it, it wasn't the same, and then you sold it to him and he believed that's the way it was. Okay, that's a different story, There's certain ways you have to be truthful when that truth is asked for, because, photography is an art form and it's also a craft. And, okay, if we want to go crazy on our images and edit the hell out of them, you can. No one's saying you can't do it. But in the instance where you want to sell a workshop in Scotland and someone wants to go on that workshop with you and they based on an image you saw that was heavily over-edited, well, maybe that's not the case.
It could be an editing workshop. It could be an editing workshop. You never know. But,
but there's a fine line in between it. Obviously, if you're going to enter a photography competition, for example, and, you've got these guys there that'll be going back to the same place for 37 years to get the right light, and then you got Joe Blow who walks up and takes an image of it and then edits the hell out of it and wins the competition, he's going to, the bloke's been going for 37 years is going to get pretty angry. So, we've got limits on this, obviously.
I never thought about it like that, actually. Yeah. It's
no one can write the rules, can they? But if people get angry, I think they have a right to be on to some level. And, the other side, it just depends how you sell yourself, doesn't it really? Yeah. And at the end of the time, if you're just a hobbyist photographer and you're there just to have fun, who cares what you do? Do what you ever want to do.
Exactly.
When you step into a professional role in photography and you have an expectance from your audience, you have to understand that audience wants to know the truth. Because they want to, either they're a photographer and they want to know how you took that image, or there's someone who wants to buy an image from you. Maybe they want the scene taken exactly the way it was and they believe it was taken that way. So there's so many different ways of looking at it, isn't there?
100%.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What you do is you just buy a Fuji GFX and then you don't have to.
I literally have been to both extremes. I mean, I have probably taken images too far before, but at the same time, I've done nothing to some images. It's just it just depends on what the image is. Sometimes I'll work more on certain images than others. It's just one of those. But
it's a process I think everybody goes through, though. I think everybody over edits at the start because they're just learning how to.
Clarity.
Yeah, the longer the further you take this, the further you take photography, I think the more you tone down. I found the last couple of years where I've just toned the buggery out of everything. And if I put an image up onto Instagram, for example, to be honest with me, I don't really care about Instagram, but if I put an image up there, it goes nowhere. Now, if I look at it and think, I look at the results, the feedback I got from this image to what I had 3 or 4 years ago, it's just hopeless. But then I just think, well, I don't photograph for Instagram. I photograph for printing, or I photograph for people who actually genuinely follow me, or people who genuinely want to buy a print or want to go on a workshop. Yeah. And that image needs to be appreciated in another media, another format outside of something that's, 2.5 inches by 3 or whatever the hell the format is on Instagram these days, depending what mobile phone you got. There's rules for it, but sometimes people go a little bit far with these rules, don't they? Everything has to be in camera and bang, and that's the way it is. It is to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote a blog about it recently that went mental about, you remember that blog, mate? Got a lot of feedback on that, didn't I?
I'm not surprised. You like staring shit, don't you?
No.
I need to read this blog. What's the key message in the blog?
Well, it's gone now because I switched over from Zenfolio to Squarespace and I lost everything. So I lost everything. I mean, I purposely just thought, look, I'm just going to give that website the arse and start off from the beginning. So it's not there anymore. But, I do generally believe that an image taken in the camera and you're just drawing the information out of the RAW to give it exactly what that image deserves, the light that it had. There was no manipulation. We're talking about just actually drawing out the information, so no actual manipulation. Images like that deserve far more, a bigger audience than they actually have, unfortunately, today with digital photography. I don't go against heavy editing because I've done it too in the past, but I think that a natural image should be given a bit more attention because
I think
it's taken that way. You can.
I think you can tell. I mean, you can tell what's been over-processed. Well, I certainly can. Perhaps it's because I've been doing it for a few years now, but it's very easy to spot it. But it's fine, if someone wants to over-edit their photos, then great. But I think, as time goes by, you do kind of move towards a more I say a more natural looking scene, but I think you know what I mean by that.
You do,
like a little bit more.
You off on those sliders a bit, don't you?
You get better at hiding it.
That's it.
Yeah, you get more you get clever.
At the end of the day, if they don't know what you've done, then you've succeeded, haven't you? Really, it's when you can tell what has been done that's the problem.
Yeah,
it's a difficult one for me because some images are an art form for me. It's my art, and sometimes I'll look at a color in an image. I think, well, I prefer it if it was a little bit more this way or that way. And I've tweaked it, and I've created art that I'm happy with, that I'm, that's the image that I'm happy with. That's what I had pictured. And, but it is extracting the information and manipulating the color almost. But I suppose it depends how far you go with it. But I've been guilty of it. I'll put my hands up and say that I've over edited photos a million times before, But yeah,
do you go through that stage where you've got an image up in Photoshop and you've got all those different, you've got all your layers there, and you come up to, I don't know, maybe you're just working on one, I don't know, you're working on orange, working on the saturation on the orange in a certain part of the foreground, for example, and you bring it across and you go, oh, that looks good. Look how punchy that looks now. And then you get out that layer and then you go to your next layer. You might be working on tonal values and you look it back and you go, no, I can't do that, can I? It's just too obvious, isn't it? It's just not truthful anymore. And then you go back and then you back off because you just think that, I've just gone a little bit too far. But probably no one would ever know that. It's just because you knew that you made that adjustment and you might have gone a little bit over the top. You kind of like feel guilty that you might have just, I don't know, taken that image beyond its limits. Or is that just me? That's just me, guys. Okay, so I'll shut up now. Okay.
I just think you should just do you. Whatever you want to produce, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just do it. It doesn't matter.
I literally do not worry about what anyone thinks.
I
literally don't.
That's a good attitude to have, for sure.
It is a good attitude. Yeah.
No. Well, it is when it comes to your art form at the end of the day, because otherwise you take on other people's opinions too much and you don't have your own unique stamp on it. If you take on everything everybody tells you.
Yeah. Obviously I take information in from people that I respect, like you guys and my peer, people that I've looked up to. But if someone that I don't know says, I think you've overedited that, I would say that's fine. I don't think so. And that's I just move on to the next one.
Yeah, so thanks for your feedback. I appreciate that you think that, it's all about taste, isn't it?
Because there'd be hundreds of other people that say it looks great. So you just got to take, you like BG said, you just got to do you the best of what you are at that time, and it'll probably change. But
that's it.
In 6 months' time, we'll change it anyway, wouldn't we? Yeah, God.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is it, because everything goes in circles, doesn't it? All these things.
I would like to shoot something other than woodland, though. I have been looking, but I mean, it's just quite difficult at the moment. I've just become a father, so I'm spending a lot of time at home and stuff. So
there you go. It's all downhill from now, mate.
Well, you know, I keep hearing this, but I've been more proactive with the photography since he was born than ever before. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's
because you just get up and walk out the house, mate. Basically,
well, I've done like 2 videos since he was born. I mean, yeah. So. Yeah, I'd like to visit Scotland and check out there. So I might be giving you a call, Paul, just to show me some spots.
Yeah, of course, mate. And, no problem at all. You can give me a shout, buddy.
Some mountains or something like that. But
yeah, cool. Yeah.
You guys got any plans for any trips or anything at all?
Oh, dude, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
It might happen again yet, mate.
Yeah.
Things are looking up.
Yeah.
Things are looking up now.
Yeah, restrictions are, you guys are lucky. You can do whatever the bloody hell you want now, can't you?
Well, pretty much. We can until it all goes to shit again. I wouldn't worry about it.
Let's not get political on this podcast. We might get in trouble.
No.
Anyway.
We can crack on and book our workshop now, Paul, can't we?
Yeah, we'll be fine. You don't have to wear masks. You don't have to do shit. Just wait. Just give it a couple of weeks. The numbers will just go.
We should talk political. Then we might get some more listeners, maybe.
Or we might get rid of the 5 we've got.
Yeah, that's true.
No, it's all good. I think it's getting better. I think it is. I think we are.
Yeah, it will do. It's a bit like my YouTube channel. It's just absolutely dead. No one watches it. Well, apart from Matt. Matt watches it. But
I watch it, mate.
I even watch your Instagram lives, for God's sake. I mean,
YouTube is a struggle. It really is. It's just,
it's definitely a marathon, people. Not a sprint.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 days ago I uploaded that video and there's 272 views. If I do an Instagram live video, I get like 5,000 views. So go over there and have a look.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it?
I think at the end of the day, if you're putting, because let's face it, a lot of effort actually does go into, and what people don't understand is, we're photographers at the end of the day, and we go out and our main objective is to capture the image, and the effort and time and concentration that goes out to get to the location and capture the image is so big. But to put video in it as well too,
it's crazy.
It's a big distraction, isn't it? It's a huge distraction because it cuts off part of your creative workflow.
It can do, for sure.
It does. Because if you're out in a scene and you're trying to get a composition, all of a sudden, oh shit, I better quickly film this because I want people to be able to see.
Then you miss the light.
Yeah. You miss the light or whatever it is. It does. And it's a lot of, and the editing that goes into it too. The editing on a video is big work. I don't think people understand.
It's no joke.
And then you put it up on YouTube and then 75 people see it over a month and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
All that effort, so it's 75 people. It's not like I want likes. It would just be nice for me to know that people actually saw it because that's why I'm putting it there to begin with. And
I think the thing I learned I had to learn this the hard way really, is that I was expecting too much too soon. Yeah. And I think what you have to focus on, as somebody told me, is focus on the people that are tuning in to view you. There's not many of them at the start, but they're regularly coming back, so there's interest there. So you have to focus on the people that actually want to be there and want to take it in. And once you start to do that, I think things do start to
it goes back to the same old thing, is you just got to do you. And not worry about it, whether it's taking an image for Instagram or shooting a video. I don't stress anymore with the video. I take my images and then I film it again. I film it afterwards.
Unless you're in my case, where everyone thought, fuck, he's a pretty good photographer, that bloke, isn't he? And they found out I had a YouTube channel. Look at he's a complete twat. I actually lost people. Didn't realise that I was a complete loser. And so I still don't know why once every 7 months I put one video out on YouTube. I should just stop doing it altogether. Anyway, not much you can do with that, is there?
It's all fun and games, mate. It's all fun.
It was good. It was good when you're in photography at the beginning because you take these photos. You didn't have a profile picture of your face, so people didn't know what you look like, and there was this mystery behind you. You know, now the mystery's gone and it's just finished.
Oh shit!
It's all jokes. It's all jokes. All jokes, mate.
Dear.
It was awesome having a chat with you today, and I'd suggest
it's been great fun.
Everyone out there who doesn't know who you are, go and check out your Instagram page, your YouTube channel, which is beautiful to watch. I actually love watching your YouTube videos that come up. They're a dream to watch. Very laid back, very easy to watch, and it's just going to be great to see how you voyage. How you voyage, is that the right word? How your how things evolve, your journey in photography goes over the next few years because really, I mean, 2015 you started out. It's not that long ago, so it's going to be great to see. It's going to be great to see where you end up.
Yeah, well, hopefully it continues to be enjoyable, and I'll continue to progress. For me, you know, as long as I'm happy with the images, then that's all good. So looking forward to it.
No, it depends on how many kids you have too, mate. That's a big factor.
No. The missus was saying, should we have another one? And I was just thinking, well, if we stick with one, I might be able to.
Yeah, my missus is pregnant. She's due in July, and I've got one already. Yeah, cheers, mate. I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking the same thing. I'm going to get as much in now as I can.
I would if I were you, mate. That's all I can say.
Yeah, bloody oath. Do it. Do it now.
But mornings is a good way to sort of combine the two, isn't it?
It is. Especially in the summertime when it's like, you know, ridiculously early as well. You can kind of get out the door and come back whilst everyone's starting to wake up. So it's possible. It's possible.
It is possible, yeah.
And you guys are lucky in the UK because you only have to travel. I mean, realistically, within an hour, wherever you go, you're always going to find something, aren't you? You know.
Yeah, well, if you live right in the centre of England, which is the West Midlands.
I mean, if I travel an hour to Rome, I still get concrete. So, you know, it's...
it's hard to go, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, in England, it's to your advantage, that's for sure. I mean, you know, if you want to walk out the door at 5 a.m. and be home by 11, it's doable, isn't it? You know?
100%.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Good on you, mate.
Well, cheers for coming on, mate. We'll put all your social links down in the description below for everybody to check out your Instagram and your YouTube channel and what have you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks for your time,
Thanks
mate.
for coming on.
All right, catch you later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Ta-da.
Bye.